I'm joined here in a believer by the authors, Jerry Mallory, a former forum colleague, and by Professor Chad Schwab, who is founder and executive chairman of the World Economic Forum, and also by my colleague Claudia Zahidi, who leads the economic and societal work here in Geneva. Before we hear from each of them, I want to turn over a couple of rules of housekeeping for the briefing. If you have questions, please use the Q&A function on Zoom, and we'll try and move your question up. We'd love to hear from you in person. So if you work with our team behind the scenes, we can make sure that you can put your question live. If you have already put a question in, we'll turn to you very shortly. In the meantime, I'm going to start the briefing by hearing from Klaus. And Klaus, perhaps you can introduce the book, the theme, and tell us what the objectives are for the Great Reset.
Welcome, everybody, and thank you, Adrian. Let's first look at the impact COVID-19 probably has. We don't know yet the final outcome of this pandemic. There's a lot of uncertainty, but we know already that it will have a changing effect, changing on economy, society. It's not just to be compared with the economic crisis which we had.
No. Oh. What about now?
10 years ago. The effect will be much similar to World War, and actually all countries in the world are affected. So if we look at the impact, of course, we first see the impact on global economic growth. Even in the most optimistic estimates of the IMF and
Hello.
OECD, we will be output level at the end of 19, only at the best case, only at the end of 21.
Okay, can y'all hear it? Or no? I need to know if y'all can hear it now. Can y'all hear me? Okay, that's better. All right.
So look at the debt which we are loading on our shoulders. The world was already indebted at an amount of over 300% of GDP. Now the rescue programs of the governments represent another $10 trillion, which will be added to our debt load and will have to be in some way be repaid by future generations. I'm also, of course, looking at the unemployment, which and the impact on livelihoods. We know many people, according to the ILO, about 50% of people in the world will be affected, combined, taking the combined effects of COVID-19 and the fourth industrial revolution. And finally, not to forget the figures. I mean, we look at the statistics, we see more than 500,000 people who have died. Just imagine the personal tragedy which is behind all those cases. So we have to be very careful not just to look at the figures. Now, when we look at COVID, I think we should distinguish between three phases. We have the three R's: restrain, which means to fight the virus, the hot phase. Most countries are in today. Then we have recover, to go back to a kind of new normal.
Well, y'all have to understand the person that is talking, they Jewish. So yeah, that's why that's why y'all hearing the accent in the voice. They don't speak like English like we do because they're Jewish. So that is the way that he talks.
And finally, the reset, which means to define and to design the strategies which should lead us in the after Corona phase. What is the objective? What kind of world do we want to build? What do we know? What did we learn? I think the world which we want to create with the Great Reset has to be much more resilient.
Okay, so y'all mean to tell me y'all didn't hear that part? Nobody heard that part. Huh? Nobody heard that part.
It has to be because security, people will demand more security, physical security, health security. It will have to be more inclusive. We had already a big gap before the crisis started. This gap will be tremendously increased. So if we want to avoid some kind of social revolutions, and we have seen the signs of anger on the streets already the last weeks. So we have to address this issue to create a stronger inclusiveness. And finally, more sustainable, because we know now that the next crisis is already waiting for us around the corner, and it is the climate crisis. The World Economic Forum, by the way, has warned the world related to the to possible pandemics since years, and actually three of the major organizations now in the fight against the virus, like the Global Fund, particularly also CEPI. All those organizations were created in Davos. So we know that the next crisis may come on us, and we have to be better prepared. So what does it mean in practice? 5 things, 5 priorities. The first one is we have to redefine our social contract to integrate more inclusion. We also have to make sure that we integrate much more in the social contract our responsibility towards the next generation. We cannot.
Okay, now I want to stop it there. Hold on.
based. Winston Churchill's famous words from the darkest days of World War II have taken on a more sinister meaning as the decades have passed. This quote was actually meant to be an inspirational message of hope to the British people, but these days, more cynical onlookers see that people with ill intent can use a crisis just as well as those who are virtuous. The Great Reset is a collective name given to a series of economic policies that are attempting to use the recovery from the coronavirus as a way to support.
Oh, just so y'all know, this video right here, this is just a video where they're claiming as to why people are so worried about the Great Reset. So y'all know, y'all heard them say it out their own mouth about the Great Reset, and then now I want y'all to hear the other side that's giving their point of view on this whole situation. I'm gonna play another video too, because then I want y'all to hear their perspective on it, because you have to get both sides so that you could be able to form your own opinion about it. Because some people still think that it's a conspiracy with the whole Great Reset thing. And I'm just playing videos where y'all can hear that it's actually not. So the first video you heard, you actually heard it out their mouths themselves. These are the people who claim they are our leaders of the world and what they want to do with this whole Great Reset plan that they have all cooked up together on what they feel like we should do as a society. No, what happened?
Supposedly build a better, brighter, more sustainable future. This policy was first unveiled by the World Economic Forum and the United Kingdom's Prince Charles, and since its announcement, it has gathered support from a laundry list of economists, politicians, business people, and celebrities. But it has also gathered a fair bit of criticism. Just 72 hours after its announcement, a petition to stop it gained 80,000 signatures, which is kind of fair enough. The whole premise of this proposal does sound very ominous. Economic plans titled The Great Something have not exactly had the best track record. The fact that this plan is leveraging a disaster alongside the fact that it is pushing some pretty spicy policies means that major conspiracy theories have surfaced, ranging from this plan will make us all poorer, all the way up to this plan will make us all slaves to the lizard people. Now, in fairness, the marketing around this Great Reset has not helped its case at all. If someone was to try and research what this plan actually was, they would be presented with two extremely bizarre ads that explain absolutely nothing, and a 2-hour panel which is extremely boring even to a major economics nerd like myself, and also kind of equally as unhelpful. We know this because, well, we had to research this plan to make this video, so it sounds like some economics need to be explained. And to probably do this, we're going to need to look at a few key questions. What is the Great Reset actually proposing to do? Do these ideas have any merit? Who are the players involved in pushing this agenda? And is this actually a nefarious scheme or just the victim of terrible marketing? This episode of Economics Explained was made possible by our fans on Patreon. If you would like to gain early access to these videos before they're uploaded to YouTube, as well as participate in exclusive Q&A sessions, which are now held every Saturday at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time, please consider featurettes from its key supporters. These are models, cellists, Reddit co-founders, ex-royals. But outside of Klaus Schwab, the chairman of the World Economic Forum, there are no...
The person that y'all was listening to, the Jewish man, his name is Klaus Schwab. You know, that's their names.
Economists. For what it's worth, Klaus Schwab is actually an engineer by education, but he is brilliant in his own right, so that one's fair enough. Now, a lot of this is because people like Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are going to attract a lot more attention than people like Paul Krugman or Thomas Piketty, something decline of society. But you know what? Yeah, that's fair enough. Plenty of brilliant ideas make it nowhere because they fail to get any attention. The second reason this page of supporters is devoid of economists is because the Great Reset has, for better or worse, become more than just an economic plan. It has become a loaded wish list of things ranging from independent media to demilitarization, support for the arts to sustainable architecture, which may very well be credible and important arguments in their own right, but only work to make this whole proposal more confusing at best or more confronting at worst. So, for the sake of simplicity, we're going to go ahead and ignore all the fluff that has been tacked on and focus purely on the economic proposals. Because, oh boy, there are still a lot of them. But the foundational point of all of this hubbub is this single point. So if you remember just one thing from the Great Reset, make sure it is this. The Great Reset plans to ensure that every recovery stimulus, both fiscal and monetary from now on, must include green conditions. Given that 2020 has been a very rocky year and fiscal stimulus has been a major topic, we have spoken about these policies many times on this channel. We've explored infrastructure spending in China just last week. We looked at quantitative easing in Japan and the United States, and a host of other policies from a diverse group of nations. One common thing we saw amongst all of this is that fiscal stimulus is a great opportunity to put money towards something that needs to be improved in the nation. If a country desperately needs new highways, more funding for schooling, or you know what, even a stronger military, fiscal stimulus is a great way to provide that spending. The key objective of stimulus is to get money out into the economy and into the hands of people that can go out and spend it. That spending keeps businesses open.
But it kind of don't, because that's not the plan that they want to do, though. They want us to give up all of our possessions. I'm gonna go to this one because this one's more better.
Davos Week, the Great Reset. You will own nothing and you will be happy. Why do we keep hearing this phrase? What is going on at this Davos? Why are these billionaires getting together? And after making one video about the Great Reset, we've decided to dive a little bit deeper into what you think and further evidence and your legitimate concerns.
It's time to look at the big picture and work collectively. That's the message from day one of Business Bonanza, the Davos Agenda. This year's World Economic Forum has moved online because COVID. Davos this year cannot be the usual networking fest it's built its reputation on.
Davos regulars like Angela Merkel and Bill Gates will check in from around the world, as well as Vladimir Putin, Prime Ministers of India, Japan, Spain, Greece, Israel, Singapore, Presidents of France, Korea, Argentina, South Africa, Secretary General of the United Nations, Director General of the World Health Organization, Governor of the Bank of England, Secretary General of Interpol. The agenda has been shaped by the pandemic and organized around the Great Reset. So I suppose when you talk about it being a conspiracy, it ain't a conspiracy if it's candidly spoken about and explicitly stated. That's not a conspiracy, that's a sort of an agenda. Like, if you believe, as many people do, in the values of detachment, of letting go of possessions, then I feel like the best way to espouse and spread these values is through embodying them and demonstrating them. Nothing to worry about there, that's just a drone delivering a package to your door. That drone couldn't be used for what? Yeah, you can keep that delivery actually, I'll just wait for the van. Now, misjudged the tone as well. You'll eat much less meat. Stop telling me what to do. I'm already vegan. What do you want me to do? Pull meat out of me? An occasional treat, not a staple. The problem is with this video is it's the exact mood of like a dystopian thing that you'd be sort of forced to sit and watch with matchsticks holding your eyes open in a great big terrifying cinema. It just goes into bad things. Also, 1 billion people will be displaced by climate change. Finally! That's the bad bit.
This is the first opportunity of 2021 for business leaders to come together to talk about jobs, the green economy, and how to shape future sustainable growth.
Markham White is one of the people that brought to our attention the phrase, you will own nothing and you will be happy. My question is, if I don't own anything, then who does? Who controls the resources? Well, it seems like the most obvious answer is the very people who practically own everything now, i.e. members of the World Economic Forum. No conspiracy, just factual and well-stated intentions. Yeah, I'm a bit concerned. Well, Markham, I share your concerns and I share your diagnosis. Captain Muggs, congratulations on the name. You've got to be a few sandwiches short of a picnic if you think the Billionaires Boy Club are out to do you any favours. Give them an inch and they'll take a mile. That's the kind of language I like. I agree with you, mate. Mantis says, what do Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Monsanto, Walmart and Starbucks have in common? United Nations World Business Council for Sustainable Development. Sustainable development. Did you see David Attenborough's documentary there on Netflix, where he says if something can't be done forever, then it's by definition unsustainable, that we have to change many of.
This video got 1.4 million views, and this was a month ago. With this video, hey everyone coming in, and I will share the video so that y'all can go see, and I will share all the other videos that I have found pertaining to the Great Reset, but we also touched on Bill Gates. So I am going to actually find that video with Bill Gates and where they talk about how he buys up all the farmland, and I'm going to get that video, and we're going to hear that video as well, because you know people say they like evidence and they want you to bring forth, you know, all of these things so that they can give their opinions or, you know, conduct their own studies on the information that's given. So I am here to provide you with these receipts because this is not a conspiracy. It is being talked about. But a lot of y'all not paying attention to what's going on in your world because, you know, your internet is blocking you as far as you looking at bullshit all day. I'm gonna be honest, because most of us focus on bullshit all day, but really and truly I be more so focusing on this and going down the rabbit hole, finding more and new information, different websites where they can post everything and anything. I wish I would have saved that website where I was watching, where I could see the whole documentary with the whole JFK and the military and the government and that whole situation there, where they broke that crap down, where they talked about it, they exposed your government, all the things that happened, even put in the whole 9/11 and how they exposed it, how it was a stimulation that happened where everybody think the Arabs came over here, or and you know Bin Laden came over here and all this bullshit, and planes flew into the Twin Towers and they attacked the government, all that stuff. Well, unclassified documents, that tells a different story. Supposedly your government was running a stimulation during this time. But we're going to continue.
But our practices, and most of those practices are related in one way or another to profit. Stop developing. That's what needs to happen. Never mind sustaining it, and also sustaining something. We want to improve things, don't we? I'm glad that so many of you were engaged by the Great Reset video, and I'm really happy to have this opportunity to dive deeper into a subject that, let's face it, is going to go on and on as globalization continues, and the sense that we are separated from power and the way that we are evolved to live becomes more and more distant and remote. We don't live as tribes. We're not in control of our own resources. The idea that we will own nothing and we will be happy sounds like a terrifying, not Orwellian, but sort of Huxleyan idea, that we will be somered into compliance, drugged by a sort of a magical substance in our water, into dumb compliance with the objectives of the powerful while we live as kind of human drones. Lee Alexander says, Russell asks questions these days, but rarely voices his opinion and beliefs on subjects, perched firmly on the fence out of fear. What I'm actually trying to do, Lee Alexander, is create a space where wherever you find yourself, deep into a particular belief system of any variety, that you know that this is a place where you can talk and be heard. In my podcast, Under the Skin, I've had guests that are from what you would call the right, guests from what you would call the left, guests with out there views in a sort of a spiritual sense, atheistic and materialistic views, scientists, spiritual folk, because I'm interested in truth, and I acknowledge my own inability, or any individual's inability, to have a total understanding of one truth, because there probably is not one such thing as the truth. There are many perspectives. But if we're going to live in a kind of globalized culture such as we do, we're going to have to become accustomed to one another's beliefs and find new ways of communicating and accommodating a diverse range of opinions. And it's a two-way street, the idea that we don't judge one another and we allow people to be who they are and how they are, whether on whatever basis of identification that is. Now, would you believe it, but Naomi Klein is able to better articulate this than I am, perhaps through years of experience, diligence and study. Here's some interesting things that Naomi Klein says that you might dig. In 2003, WEF founder Klaus Schwab introduced the tradition of each January summit having a big theme. The Great Reset is the latest edition of this gilded tradition. Like the WEF's earlier big themes, the Great Reset is not a serious effort to actually solve the crisis it describes. On the contrary, it is an attempt to create a plausible impression that the huge winners in this system are on the verge of voluntarily setting aside greed to get serious about solving the raging crises that are radically destabilizing our world. At this point, when we talk about the WEF and the Great Reset, it becomes, in a sense, a kind of nitpicking to decide what the WEF's power are and what the overall agenda of the powerful people and institutions in this world actually.
Well, we know exactly what they want. They want to control people. They want to have control. It's about control, but it's more so about your mind. When someone can feel like they want to compromise your mind and your thoughts, that's where the fuck the problem becomes. These people know, they like literally telling it to your face. This is what they want because they can charge you on your thoughts. You are data to the computer. All it does is calculates and runs studies and data on each individual in this world. That is what it's designed to do. It's not about communication on humans standpoint. It's about communications with the devices that we're using on its standpoint. It ain't really about us. While we use these things, we also experiencing headaches. Some people experiencing headaches. Some people feel like they're getting electrocuted, or some type of radiation is given off on their phone, which is why your phone gets so hot. And some of the phones, they blow the fuck up. I mean, it's literally in your face as to why this shit is happening. That's what the fuck they want. They want to control your body. They want to control your mind.
Belief is. Naomi Klein herself says, while questioning the actual power of the WEF, all kinds of dangerous ideas are lurking under the Great Reset's wide brim. From a reckless push to more automation in the midst of a jobless crisis, the steady move to normalize mass surveillance, biometric tracking tools, and the very real problem of Bill Gates' singular power over global health.
Collecting data all the time. Exactly. It is collecting data all the time. And everyone loves this whole idea of the 5G that is coming out, because how super fast it is, how incredible it is, where it uploads the pages in your apps in your phones and make it go way more faster than what it does when you're running on 4G. It's the reason why y'all have it like this, for a reason. I don't know if you pay attention, but just because it's 5G, that doesn't mean that 5G isn't 4G. It's just that 4G is just the watered down version. And now they're deciding to give you the higher version of 4G, which is 5G, which is give you a faster upload. You'll be able to do different things on your computer without your computer, or your phone, your tablet, or whatever you're using, without it crashing or going down because you're doing too much. You have too many apps and windows open on your phone, or you trying to do multiple things on your computer and stuff like that. That's what it's for. But you don't even know that it's also used because you think just your phone is giving out the radiation. When that whole 5G is coming about, that's a whole surveillance type of device, like a Decepticon. That bit is literally there to spy. And they already got as many cameras as they can everywhere. But they hide it in plain sight because most people don't even know cameras that's not supposed to be where you don't see the cameras anywhere. They're there. You just don't know that those cameras there. But when they bring into that 5G situation, it's going to get very intense. You think that you having all these health issues now and people having these weird, strange headaches that's happening. It's going to get worse once you get that 5G, because that shit is going to give off a lot of radiation, and it's going to, you pretty much is going to be under a damn oven or in a microwave getting electrocuted and fried, and you don't even know that this is happening to you because it's hitting you from the inside, which is that invisible shit that you don't know exists. Like energy, but you know energy exists. You know that these things exist, but they're not supposed to exist because you can't see it. You can't feel it, but you know that your body, the thing is, with us, what we see, it's not there. That's why we are led blind. But your body isn't, because your body can detect it. Your body knows something is going on, something is wrong. The brain, that's why the brain is the head of the body, because the brain is the ones that controls everything. The brain is the computer in itself. So it already knows that something is going wrong. So it knows before the body. That's why it lets it knows, and it does the job that it's supposed to do to fight off any type of virus and anything that's happening. But if it gets too much for the body, then there's nothing that the body can do, especially if your ass is getting radiation poison shit that's hitting you, and you don't have no type of clue of even aware of this is happening. But see, all this happened because of Nikola Tesla, with how he can use electricity. But instead of them using it for the good, or how Nikola Tesla wanted it, they decided to use it for the bad, which can make us have a lot of health problems, and people not understanding how they can have this happen to them and things like this. It's because you don't know that you're getting radiation poison, and that's causing a lot of these problems, along with the shit that we eat, the food that we drink, all that whole 9 yards. Your skies being sprayed, all that shit is happening in your face. But since human beings are more so working, enslaving, they ain't paying attention to what is happening. They ain't paying attention because they don't know that they're finna be even more in them. They are finna be in an even more fucked up situation than they think they is. They think that they working out and they slaving. These motherfuckers literally want you to be their test subjects. Meaning they want to take you guys in like they used to do people back in the old days, when the CIA supposedly first started doing the whole MK Ultra. And I'm going to pull that video up after this video, because I want us to get into that whole MK Ultra device situation, because a lot of people is very, 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 very sleep on that technology. Y'all think that the technology we got is just, we got the watery down technology. But bitch, they got the technology back in Noah days. Back in the days when the demons was in their faces and doing all these things and giving them the technology and the knowledge and stuff of what be going on up in the heavens, and they ain't even supposed to be telling us stuff because of what can happen. And by eating that fruit, that what made it become the good and the evil of the situation, which is why people praise the evil, then they do the good. The good is boring, but the evil is amazing. It's more fun that way. That's how it's because you're being manipulated. The brain also can be manipulated. Most people don't think that is true. It is true. Okay? It is true, especially with certain drugs. When you're doing illegal experiments, shit on people.
Policy. Now, Naomi Klein has done the hard work so that we don't have to. These, Naomi Klein says, are legitimate concerns. I think what Naomi Klein queries is the conflation of the Great Reset, in particular with cynicism towards climate change. Because when it comes to climate change, who benefits from the idea that human activity does not impact climate change? Let's just consider that question, whatever your personal beliefs are on the Great Reset.
Why would the inventors of this put themselves and all their people at risk too? They can't avoid air either. But see, the thing is, the chemtrails is not there necessarily for the air. It is there to mostly keep you sick. You know how y'all have seen those movies when it comes down. I'm explain like Hansel and Gretel. Okay, y'all have seen that movie of how the witch can trick the kids and she feeds them. But they don't know that she's feeding them something that is keeping them there and is fattening them up, and because the food is so good. It's so good and it's hypnotizing that they don't know, they're not noticing that they're gaining all of this weight. They're not noticing that they're feeling real tired and sick all the time. And she tends to feed them this certain type of food, and she tends to give them this certain type of soup when they get sick, until they realize the last minute is when they knew that they was being killed and put into her oven so she could cook and eat their ass, or eat them for dinner, which is make them into the big bowl of soup. But none of them didn't catch on to after the fact. after they finally woke themselves up, but it was too late because she already finna cook you and eat you because she done fatten you up. There's nothing you can do now because you ain't paid attention to the food that she giving you because it's so delicious. That's just like wolves in sheep's clothing. These people don't care if it's meant to but see, it's not meant to do anything to them. This is why they have bunkers, Duchess, underground. This is why they have these things underground because they feel like they can escape what's going to come. But people fail to realize when this whole shit kicks off, all that's gonna come to a stop anyways. I think that that's what's not being explained because we supposed to focus on what's going to happen, the things that is going to happen, but we're not going to get all the way to the phases of where our brain is going to be, intertwined like how they want it to be like in the future, where you show the damn machines taking over and killing all the humans because the humans decided that they wanted to upload their brain into the internet, into the system, and then once they did that, the future progresses more and more and more to when it got to the year 3000 and stuff. Humans have completely let the robots or the machines have complete control over everything, where they don't have no control of nothing. Everywhere they go, they're being watched. Everything that they do, the robots following them around, even have robots in their house, and they have set of rules that they have to follow. They have no type of freedom, no nothing. They have to follow the rules, like they put into a whole prison confinement that the world leaders have given to them. And what's even crazy is that they show you in these movies the timeline of how things goes until when it gets to that time, because what the human beings have allowed to happen to them, because they're not paying attention to the shit that's going on. That's literally been put into their place. But everybody's too distracted by a lot of shit, especially when that whole T.I. and Tiny thing. Y'all not paying attention. Y'all not paying attention. Just like with your government, with the whole stimulus shit. Distracting y'all. Then the government with the whole conspiracy theories, with the Trump conspiracy theories, and how they supposed to come and do something come March, what it is, 12th or some crap. Pay attention.
Set and the way that global power and globalism affects ordinary people, where I bet you and me see things exactly eye to eye. Well, who wouldn't want regulation introduced around energy companies? Who wouldn't want to acknowledge that fossil fuels are damaging the environment? Who doesn't want the way that we power our lives to alter? People that benefit from these existing institutions and corporations. Take, for example, the broadcasters that are cynical about climate change. Just one example at random: Sky News, and that's a
also the chemtrails. I know a lot of people think the chemtrails is mostly about poisoning the air and poisoning it from us. No, that's somewhat of the part. But the chemtrails is there to hide. Okay. I just want you, and when I say it's there to hide, I want you to figure out what you think I'm saying when I say the chemtrails that they spray in the sky is meant to hide. It's meant to hide something.
Rupert Murdoch own channel. Rupert Murdoch demonstrably has interests in energy companies. He's by no means alone in that. That's ordinary. In fact, when people talk about the nature of power, these kind of connections between broadcasters and what are commonly known now as mainstream media and big business are totally overlapping, completely immersive. Who would suffer if we were to say you can no longer use fossil fuel? Who would? It's not you or I. We would ultimately use renewable or sustainable energy. I don't bloody well care where it's coming from. I prefer it wasn't destroying the planet that we live on. For oil companies, the more climate action can be conflated with an organisation known for its traffic jams of private jets and its Bond villain founder, the easier it will be to resist any climate plan at all. This messaging is gaining traction not because people are suckers, but because they are mad, angry, and they have every right to be. Lockdown policies have demanded months of individual sacrifice for the collective good without providing the most basic collective protections to keep families from slipping into starvation and homelessness, or to keep small businesses afloat. Meanwhile, trillions have been spent to backstop markets and bail out multinationals, and pandemic profiteering is rampant. Is it any wonder that so many find...
Let me answer this question. She says, but with all this knowledge, what can we do about it? That's the frustrating part about what we're going to do. With Sherry, what we're going to do about it is do exactly what we're told to do, which is you have to sit back and you're going to have to wait. Now, that doesn't mean that we should sit back and wait, because regardless of whether we sit back and wait or if we do something now, it's going to happen. And that's what they don't want all the human beings to come up with and to know and to understand. They don't want the human beings to know that they will win. They don't want them to know that they will come together no matter all around the world. The Great Awakening, they will come together and they will put a stop to it. They don't know that part because a lot of people don't elaborate on it anymore. Where they stop, I don't know what's been happening with. I feel like a lot of conspiracy people who do be speaking on it, they more so pay attention to what they're doing in their plans, and that's a good thing. But I also feel like they also need to tell people too, and not have them, have people think the same way they want them to think, which is that we going to just let them win and take over and do these things to us, and it's going to like be too late. No, that's why the Great Awakening is going to happen. And when the whole entire thing pops off, it's going to be us against them. They can't outbeat us. And they know that, but they're trying to hurry up and move forth with their plan so that they can already have us as slaves. Because once we consent to giving up our rights, then they know there's nothing that the human beings can do to stop them from moving forth to where they want these machines to take over.
Entirely plausible that the same elites who expect them to swallow all the coronavirus-related sacrifices while they party in the Hamptons and on private islands would also be willing to exaggerate the risks of the disease to get them to accept more bitter green medicine for the common good. So I suppose what Klein is saying is that we should be extremely cautious around suggesting that the pandemic is not real. I know that a lot of you have got strong views on that. Her point is that we oughtn't conflate ideas around climate change with this group and its obviously economic-led and power-driven intentions. What's required to actually combat spiraling poverty, joblessness, climate breakdown, and information.
Well, see, Prayed Up, the thing is, the dude who played in the main character who played in the Matrix movie, he said that the Matrix is a documentary. But you know how the media does. They like to turn things into being a comedian. I mean, like it's being funny or something like that, so that people doesn't take what others saying as serious, because they want you to say that, but they also need it to be put in plain sight, but it needs to be put as in it's a joke. Just like how it is with people with that dark humor shit. I don't find dark humor cute. I just don't. But some people do. But to me, dark humor is like more so of an excuse. And when it comes down, when they asked him about that movie, The Matrix, that's why it's taking them so long to make this other one. I thought that movie came out, child. It was supposed to come out in 2020. It still ain't came out. It's a damn shame. And it's The Matrix 4 or some shit. But he said that shit was a documentary, not a movie, not fictional, just something to... He said it was a documentary. But if you look beyond exactly with the machine situation, you'll see exactly what they mean by the Matrix. Especially with the part with how he goes down the rabbit hole, but instead he goes down a tube hole.
Degeneration, regulate the companies that have created these crises, tax them, break them up, and in some cases put them under public control. This is an aspect of solution-based thinking that there is a strong imperative to mask, negate, ignore. I think Naomi Klein's contribution to this conversation is telling. Naomi Klein is a well-schooled, lifelong activist whose book No Logo changed the direction of this conversation around the power of global corporations forever. And I think her involvement in this conversation can perhaps reclaim from the territories where it currently dwells, perhaps reframing the way that climate change is seen, and ought to be included in the morass around globalism and its consequences, not maligned and seen as a sort of conspiratorial component. I really enjoyed hearing your views and comments and opinions, and indeed receiving your insights and your education on this matter. It's changed my opinion. So whether you want us to look deeper into Klaus Schwab's book or to learn more about Bill Gates's unique position of power, let's keep this conversation going. The Great Reset, whether or not the WEF is literally a powerful organization or merely a front for the way that the...
Hey there, Nika. Hello, y'all. Hello.
World War II. The U.S. government is engaged in a large number of secret medical experiments.
Now, y'all heard about the Great Reset, right? Okay. Now we finna get into the real shit, the deep shit. This is the CIA mind control, CIA secret experiments. This is from the National Geographic. Now, y'all know they ain't gonna tell us truth in this shit. They're gonna give us truth mixed with lies. Okay? But pay attention to some of the shit they do say. This shit is only 5 minutes long, y'all.
Designed to help win the Cold War. Developing techniques for mind control to create a so-called Manchurian candidate. What is the extent of these brainwashing experiments? How did the CIA become involved in such far-reaching and disturbing research? In May 1953, scientists at Porton Down are researching one of the most lethal nerve agents known to man, sarin. The experiments are conducted on military volunteers, but the young servicemen have no idea what they are letting themselves in for.
On the board there was a separate notice typed, which said in so many words, volunteers wanted to help find a cure for the common cold.
By volunteering, Ken Earl becomes an unsuspecting guinea pig in the war against the Soviets. On May 4th at Porton Down, he and 5 other Air Force men are led into a small room by 2 technicians.
We were told by
You don't say.
the 2 men to roll up the left sleeve. These 2 men then took 2 pieces of material and they taped them to our forearm. They then gave us each a respirator that we were not, under any circumstances, to take off the respirator. And the door was sealed behind us. It was very, very pokey, small building. And I found out since it was a gas chamber, which was the fear of death into, of course. This technician, with a vial and a pipette, went round each of us, and he dripped onto these pieces of material 20 drops in 2 rows.
The clear liquid is sarin nerve agent. It is quickly absorbed into the arm through the skin.
Wow.
The effects are immediate.
I became absolutely claustrophobic. I didn't know what sheer terror there is in being trapped and not being able to breathe properly, feeling you can't breathe.
Wow.
Sweating profusely. And I now begin to gain my nightmares about it. After half an hour, we were released, gasping and spluttering and sweating into the open air.
The corresponding paperwork clearly states the purpose of the experiment is to determine the lethal dose of sarin. After the Korean War, disturbing new intelligence reaches Washington.
Y'all heard that? Just put some clear liquid on their arm. He started to feel like he was trapped.
Hundreds of American troops are still being held captive, subjected to brainwashing experiments, and then killed. Mind control research back home intensifies. The new goal is to cause an individual to become subservient to an imposed control, to the point where he will perform acts against his will, and then have no memory of the act.
And that's why we call it a false flag. When you have, and especially when you have these people that goes and shoot up churches and clubs and concerts stuff, schools and things like that. Pay attention.
The search for a real-life Manchurian candidate begins. To produce such an assassin, the CIA faces two main challenges: how to induce amnesia and how to program in. In 1957, Dr. Ewan Cameron, an eminent psychiatrist in Montreal, believes he has the answers. Cameron applies his techniques under the guise of normal therapy.
It was a three-part technique which started with an effort to wipe out past patterns of behavior. And this was accomplished through the use of particularly intensive, repeated, high-level electroshocks until no more convulsions could be elicited from a patient.
Cameron then plays tape-recorded messages through helmets that are locked to his patients' heads. This psychic driving forces them to listen to repetitive statements for weeks on end to program in new behavior.
Now, the final phase was to try to wipe out all recollection of what had happened, and that was accomplished by putting people to sleep for 30, 40 days, accompanied by different kinds of cocktails of drugs. Now, that's not any kind of therapy. That's a brainwashing experiment.
Going on my 30th year, fourth year apprentice for over 36 years.
And Kinzer. Stephen is an award-winning foreign correspondent who has covered more than 50 countries on 5 continents. His articles and books have actually led the Washington Post to place him among the best in popular foreign policy storytelling. And he spent more than 20 years working for the New York Times. On this podcast, we dive deep into Stephen's most recent work, studying the CIA's secret drug and mind control experiments of the early 50s and 60s in the CIA's poisoner-in-chief, Sidney Gottlieb, who conducted brutal experiments using pills, powders, and potions, and LSD in an attempt to control people's minds, including people like Fidel Castro and other foreign leaders. Stephen is a super interesting guy, and this podcast was absolutely mind-bending. I hope you enjoyed as much as I did. Without further ado, please welcome Stephen Kinzer.
Correspondent for many years. I worked for the New York Times for more than 20 years. I was most of it as a foreign correspondent. So I've covered dozens of countries all over the world. After some decades of doing that, I became interested in how all the events that I witnessed tied together. Everything went by so fast as I was reporting it. And I have very big events in the world, like the last gasps of Marxist People's Revolution in Central America, the emergence of post-communist Europe, say Central Asia and the Caucasus emerging as new regions. Well, what did it all mean? How did it all fit together? I also became increasingly persuaded as a foreign correspondent
intelligence detailing an imminent threat.
CIA's guinea pigs.
They kept you asleep for 23 days. And while I was asleep, they were shocking the heck out of me with electric shocks.
The CIA was interested in Dr. Cameron's work on psychic driving because it could give them an idea of where the personality could break or be stressed.
Those of us who were involved were trying to find out something about brainwashing. Yes, this is the reason that we were interested in Dr. Cameron's work.
The American Central Intelligence Agency has been accused of manipulating citizens of countries all over the world, including Canada. At the moment, a number of Canadians are considering suing the CIA. They believe they are victims of covered CIA experiments. Tonight, two Canadians who feel the past 20 years of their lives were damaged by the CIA tell their stories publicly for the first time. They believe they were part of a CIA project called MK Ultra, a research project so secret that even the Canadian government was not informed that the agency was funding activities in this country. The CIA was seeking a new weapon aimed not at the body, but at the mind. Americans became obsessed with brainwashing during the Korean War. Prisoners of war returned home denouncing the American way of life. Hearing them parroting propaganda, the CIA became...
Y'all can't hear that? I did have it on mute, but I took it off of mute. Y'all can't hear the sound? Can y'all hear me?
Convinced the communists had found the key to brainwashing. Now the Americans had to unlock the mystery of mind control.
There was great worry that the Soviets had developed rather esoteric and unusual methods of so-called brainwashing people. The Purge trials.
Dr. John Gittinger was the CIA's chief psychologist for 25 years.
There was continued pressure put upon anybody within the agency in connection with trying to explain or understand brainwashing. So we were charged with rather elaborate attempt to try to find out chemical, psychological, any kind of means that people could use to influence the behavior of the people.
Nothing seemed too bizarre. To find out if sex could be used in spying, the agency studied San Francisco prostitutes and their clients. Using unwitting human beings as their guinea.
That was like their first experiment that they was doing, that they was using with the prostitutes, and how they could set the men up by having the women put something in their drink. That's how women in the industry learn how to do those things. Believe it or not, it's through your damn government making them pimp out the men and make them get high off fucking drugs. Especially they made the women use men that were married men and businessmen. They knew men that wouldn't want to get in trouble to jeopardize their families or their reputation. They made sure them women targets those type of men so that they can conduct those type of experiments. When I had found out about that, I was like, wow, that's just so fucked up. And that's why it's so much crap goes on in the world.
This one directly related to brainwashing, was carried out at the University Psychiatric Hospital, the Allen Memorial Institute. Located atop Mount Royal in a mansion with the eerie name of Ravenscrag, the Allen Memorial was once the most prestigious mental hospital in Canada. The unorthodox treatments of its director caught the attention of the CIA in the mid-50s. Dr. Ewan Cameron, the first director of the Allen Memorial, ran the institute with an iron hand for 20 years. But Dr. Cameron remained an American citizen and left the Allen abruptly in 1964. He returned to the United States, where he died in 1967. An energetic, enigmatic man, Cameron was an internationally honored and respected psychiatrist, but he was not universally liked. Former colleague, Dr. Elliot Emanuel.
He was an authoritarian, ruthless, power-hungry, nervous, tense, angry, and not very nice.
Much of Cameron's research went on in the stables next to the main hospital building. Here he had his subjects photographed before and after treatment. Dr. Cameron may not have known that the $60,000 research grant he received from the Human Ecology Fund really came from the CIA.
Rudolf Hess.
Nonetheless, it now seems ironic to some that Cameron was called to the Nuremberg trials to examine Rudolf Hess. For it was at Nuremberg, after Nazi doctors who experimented on prisoners of war were condemned, that a code of scientific ethics was adopted. Research must be completely safe, and research subjects must give full voluntary consent. Documents recently released by the CIA reveal what research Cameron proposed. To make patients receptive to repetitive messages, Cameron suggested using chemical agents to break down ongoing patterns of behavior. Chemical agents like LSD. LSD was almost unknown in the late 50s and not yet widely tested. Despite the horrible hallucinations small doses can produce, Dr. Cameron left some of his patients to unsupervised LSD trips. In 1956, Bob Logie was 18 years old when his severe leg pains were diagnosed as psychosomatic, and he was sent to the Allen Memorial Institute. When Bob heard the news reports of CIA-funded research at the Allen, he sent for his medical records. They revealed several doses of LSD. Today, Bob Logie lives and works in Vancouver, but he's still angry.
I feel like I've been completely used. I feel like my mind has been completely invaded. I suppose if guinea pigs had feelings, they'd feel like I do.
LSD trips were terrifying to patients who had never heard of LSD and who had no way of knowing why their world was suddenly upside down. Hallucinations last for hours. Experts say this is what an acid trip would look like if it could be filmed.
LSD was really horrifying, very horrifying, and they gave it to me for about 12 or 15 times.
No, this is the fifth element. I mean, the fifth interstate. That's not the National Geographic. They actually took that video down for some reason. I can't find that one where they talk about the MK Ultra device. I think they took that one down because it got too many views and too many comments because people have been going back to that video even in this year because I done went to that video like 5 times already this year. So I can't find that video, so I think they took it down.
One minute I would see the doctor there, the next minute I wouldn't see him there, and they were asking me all kinds of questions. And I remember them telling me that I was getting smaller and smaller, and I really felt myself getting smaller. And they were bringing me back in time, way back. At one point I almost felt like I was just about to be born, really that far back in memory. And they were really, really probing, asking all kinds of questions, and I felt I didn't have any control. I had to answer. I didn't feel I had any control. I was completely, like they had complete control over me.
Bob's leg pains were eventually treated with cortisone, but the effects of the LSD stayed with him, and soon he was back in the hospital.
I just felt I couldn't cope. I couldn't adjust after the LSD, and I was having a hard time. I couldn't hold down a job for very long. I was going from one place to another, and the anxiety really built up. I just couldn't cope, and I went back.
The interest in this sort of chemical, this kind of magic, this shortcut weapon, prompted the CIA's interest in hallucinogens, particularly LSD.
Very definitely, because the first pressure was being based on the idea that there was some kind of truth serum or truth drug or something on that. So people who knew that end of the business, they were definitely beginning to look in terms of chemotherapy. And of course, to people.
That's the one with the LSA, but I don't LSD. I don't want that one. I want the one with the device where it's not used with the drugs, but where they're doing the telepathy shit to their minds and brains and stuff, where they electrocute them. I want that one. But I found a video I've been looking for. Hold on.
Imminent threat. That's threat. An invasion.
Oh, sorry, y'all. I was trying to search up another video, but I can't find it. So we're just gonna move on to the next one. No, let me. Because they might gonna take it out. Let me see. There it goes. How come the video I was been looking for?
Bill Gates has been 242,000 acres of farmland across the U.S., enough to make him the top private farmland owner in America. According to the Land Report, the tech billionaire has been purchasing agricultural land for years, building a massive portfolio of farmland in 18 states. His largest holdings are more than 69,000 acres in Louisiana, almost 48,000 acres in Arkansas, and about 20,500 acres in Nebraska. Additionally, he has a stake in 25,750 acres of traditional land in Phoenix, Arizona, which is being developed as a new suburb. It's not clear how Gates's farmland is being used or whether any of the land is being set aside for conservation. This is not Gates's only foray into agriculture. In 2008, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation announced $306 million in grants to promote high-yield, sustainable agriculture among farmers in sub-Saharan Africa and South Asia. The foundation also invested in the development of supercrops resistant to climate change and higher-yield dairy cows. While Gates may be the country's biggest farmland owner, he's not the largest individual landowner. According to the Land Report's list of the top 100 American landowners, Liberty Media chair John Malone is the largest landowner with 2.2 million acres of ranches and forests.
And that was the video that I wanted y'all to hear on Bill Gates buying up the land. So, you know for a fact, you just heard it. And now you'll be able to do your research on it. And I did these videos because I needed people to understand that there is videos, there is evidence. These people literally talks about this stuff. It may be boring to some people, and then it could be knowledgeable to others. But if you want to know what's going on with your world and how it's going to shape you and your children and your family's future, regardless if it's boring, you will go and get the research you need on these situations to find out what the fuck is going on, the next move that you need to do, and how to prepare yourself, because a lot of y'all is gonna be very blindsided. Yeah, the Great Awakening is coming, but still, you still gonna have those people who gonna be very blindsided where all this shit is happening because too many people is scared to do their own research. Too many people is scared to go and see this, and I think a lot of people like living in their bubble, and they're very comfortable with the bubble that they live in, but not realizing that that bubble finna soon be popped. The freedom that you think you got, which is no freedom in my eyes, but the freedom that you think you have now is definitely gonna be going. Um, we be focusing on a lot of bullshit and always arguing and fighting, but a lot of this shit is happening, and soon we ain't gonna be worrying about fighting each other. We're gonna be have to fighting them. Because they plan is to make sure we keep fighting each other, to keep the Democrats and the Republicans fake beefing with each other so that they can keep the American people beefing with each other about the Democrats and the Republicans. And some people is catching on and seeing that it's bullshit. Now, I am going to gloat a little bit because I told you motherfuckers it did not matter who they put in the White House. This is my opinion, I'm going to say. But I am gonna rub it in y'all face because we had a whole debate about this bullshit, right? We had a whole debate about it. And a lot of people argue me down on this situation. Also, they didn't understand what I meant when I said that the Republicans and the Democrats were the same. That both of them is the same. And you guys thought that by y'all voting for Joe Biden, that things would be better, that the stimulus, y'all would have been had the stimulus, been had the first and second stimulus check, and been on to your third stimulus check. Y'all thought that Biden was gonna come and do all these things that he's promising, says that he's going to do. Yeah, he got 4 years. He do. But so far, he said that he was going to push the stimulus, and he still haven't pushed the stimulus for y'all to get the second one. Now you have the Democrats that's in control, and the Republicans that don't have no control to block them for passing the bills, and yet there's still arguments in the Senate about the bill that the Democrats came up with. They came up with. The Republicans didn't have no say so. Now it's the Democrats' turn. I keep telling y'all it don't matter whether it's the Republicans or the Democrats, and it don't matter which president it is, whether it's the Republicans or the fucking Democrats. They don't give a damn about y'all because you don't control shit. Even in your local government, you don't control shit. They only trick y'all and have y'all thinking that you have some type of control, but in reality, you don't control shit. The reason why y'all don't control shit because you don't pay attention to the shit that be going on in your government, whether it's the local government or whether it's the big government. You don't pay attention enough. Because if all the civilians in America pay attention to the shit that government have done, instead of them bickering and fighting with each other and mad and pissed off and shit with each other, because the way these people made their lives, they will see and be real mad and pissed off, and everybody come together, and even around the whole entire world, and just overthrow their own government. But people got their lives to live, right? You got to go to work and slave. You gotta go and make sure you get a house that you buy for, but you literally don't buy. To be honest, you still renting it because you have to pay property taxes for the rest of your life. And if you don't pay your property taxes, they get to snatch that house that you bought and you paid for. You could buy a car. You sure can. You could buy a car, sure it's bought and paid for. But that's why you got to renew your sticker every damn year and tell the government if you live in the same address or if you're living in a different address. They have to keep track on your ass. Okay. I'm still voting, sure is. Go ahead on. You can vote all you want, don't mean that vote gonna count. I don't know. That's why y'all keep saying that y'all want to try to help. I mean, if y'all want to try to do stuff, the first thing you people gonna have to accept is that the voting shit is a scam. Okay, the voting shit is a distraction for y'all. It's just to pretend to make y'all feel like y'all got it. I'm sorry, it's just amazing to me. It's just amazing to me that y'all still voting and y'all wonder why these people want to take away your freedom. Because you keep voting for these people. You keep voting for at least a Democrat or the Republican. And you wonder why the third parties never get a chance to get in ahead or even go up against either one of the parties. None of y'all never peep that neither. It's always either Democrats or the Republicans. The independent, they can never go up against any one of them, where it can be the independents against the Democrats or the independents against the Republicans. It's never been that way. It's always just only been two entities, the red or the blue. And some of y'all so stuck up their ass, you don't even realize these people don't give a fuck about y'all. I don't even understand how y'all don't see it, especially during the pandemic. The Democrats don't do shit just as well as the Republicans. Now one of them don't give a fuck about y'all. You want to know why? Look in the bill. Only 9% of the government's money is going to people for the stimulus. 9%. That's it. It's a $1.6 billion stimulus package. And y'all not getting shit. And y'all keep voting for these people. Y'all keep voting. Stop voting for corrupt people. Stop voting, period. I mean, like, throw the whole voting shit away. That's how you going to be able to get rid of the corruption. You got to throw that whole voting shit away. Y'all, it's easy for you to go to vote and tally up your shit, but I told y'all, computers are very manipulative. This is why I told y'all to dig deeper into the witchcraft, the witchery, the whole hypnotizing, hypnosis, the mind tricks that they can play. What is the other one? It's the other one that they do. It'll come back to me. And that too. You have to pay attention to this shit. Your whole government with this whole stimulus, and so many people swear up and down. When Biden got into that office, y'all was gonna have the second stimulus check, that it wasn't gonna be no, they even promised y'all this, told y'all it wasn't gonna be no problems, everything was gonna be cool, calm, and collected. How, if your senators is in the motherfucking government right now, bickering, arguing back and forth? And they arguing back and forth because the Republicans decided that they wanted to sit here and cuss out the damn Democrats, because the Democrats is giving $140 million to Pelosi for her to build a bridge that's a tunnel that's gonna be from New York to Canada. I mean, and my thing is, ain't nobody questioning this shit. First of all, I let's just like move the $140 million out of the equation, right? Let's just move that out, and let's just look at it from this way. First of all, why is there a tunnel being built on the New York City going into Canada? That's what I want to know. That's what the fuck I want to know. Why the fuck is she? It's not even her money, but it's putting her name. But she's taking the route for it, but someone else that's above her is having her take the route. Y'all have to also understand there are always going to be fall guys, okay? That's why billionaires have money to pay people to do the shit that they do and move the way that they do. Now, y'all know money is powerful, but I don't think y'all understand how powerful money is and how much everybody bleeds the money that they want. A lot of bitches say they ain't gonna do shit for the money, and a lot of bitches say they're not gonna do shit for the money. Now, if you're not gonna do shit for the money, then you know you're a real one. If you're gonna do any and everything when it comes down to money, then we already know you the devil in disguise, because the devil used money as his leverage. We know this because the devil had tried to do this to Jesus when he was walking in the desert. He had to be there and for 40 days and 40 nights, no food and water. And he tried to tempt him by telling him to drink that water and get that food, and how he can make him the most richest, famous man in the whole entire world as long as he came onto his side and be tempted. And it didn't happen like that. But that don't mean he didn't know that human beings can't be tempted, because whatever you want, he will give you, long as you're giving up that soul. Don't think you ain't gonna pay no price. Don't think that Nancy Pelosi ain't gonna pay no price. She don't give a fuck, because she don't work for us like they pretended to y'all like they do. They supposed to work for us. That's what the government is for in reality. But in reality, they take care of millionaires and billionaires. I'm gonna say multi-millionaires and billionaires before they will poor people and anybody else. Y'all wonder why they have these fucking charities going on and all that shit? Come on, man, let's be real. How the fuck Bill Gates say he gave away all his money, but yet he worth $20 billion? How you gave away all your fortune, but you're worth $120 billion and counting? You don't control shit. They don't control shit. The ones who is the big head bosses of this shit control shit. They knew what they was doing when they made the Democrats be in the House. And the Republicans knew this too. Just like the Democrats and the Republicans also knew about the riot that was going to happen on Capitol Hill. I don't know how y'all not know this shit is all theater, okay? Just like the shit that you be watching on TV with your movies and all that, it's the same shit with your government, okay? Do not be tricked and fooled thinking that your voting is making the change. No, your voting is helping them help, it's having you help them consent to the shit that you didn't consent to, which is taking your rights away from you. You know, like y'all have voted for these people, but don't know behind the scenes with Joe Biden and the rest of them, they done signed into law for you to not to be able to sue anybody if you get vaccine injured. Yep, a piece of paper. I told you before, we got to pick the lesser of two evils in this case. I don't know. That's the question that I have, Proud Glamour. Um, Voodoo. I don't understand why you guys go along with that notion of, I told you it's gotta be, you gotta pick the two of the two lessers. What makes the other one lesser than the other one? What makes that one more or less evil than the other one? There were drills. Yep, I'm voting for Kenya. Or Kanye. Really? Yes, they did. Just like some of the mass shootings, those were drills. Yeah, those were drills. I just don't understand how she needs $140 million to build a damn tunnel under New York City to go through New York all the way under to it gets to Canada, all the way through Canada. To me, that's very suspicious and weird as fuck. But they do have a lot of underground shit that's being built, and all these bills that have been passed, they have been putting these shits in there. So I'm gonna say it's not new that this is happening, and trust that tunnel in itself that she getting built down there, it's gonna be more than just that tunnel. They're gonna probably build a whole secret shit down there in the bottom, which they already says they have those government bunkers underneath United States. So all she did is just expose it even more, and they building more shit under there. But I just need people to be questioning shit and paying attention to shit, because it's not what you think it is. It's not going to be what you think it is. Okay? It's never going to be what you think it is. As soon as human beings stop voting for these people and pay attention and start networking within each other, coming up with plans, having conversations where they can get control over these motherfuckers, it ain't gonna happen until, the last minute. And most likely the last minute is where it's gonna happen. And when that last minute happen, then boom, all that shit gonna come. It's already happening now. But when it definitely be exposed, because they know they have to be exposed. If y'all don't know, they know they have to be exposed. That's the and see, everybody keeps talking about how you have to make a deal with the devil. Yeah, human beings do, but some of y'all don't know the devil has a deal with God. Sure do. He has to tell us everything out in the open. Whether it's he mixing it with, he ain't gonna tell the truth. He gonna tell the truth, but he gonna always mix lies because he's the king of deceit. He's the reason why evil even exists. You know what I'm saying? So he'll tell us the truth while he also lying about it. And you see that with your media every damn day, and your government every day, even people that you come in contact with. You see that shit every day because it's been taught, it's been manipulated into human beings' mind. Because when we came into this world, we didn't know that we were a contract. We didn't know that we had to sign our lives on the dotted line where we got that motherfucking birth certificate. We didn't know. We didn't know. We just was told we had to do this shit because this is what happened during birth. And your parents ain't never questioned it because this is what was told to them. You got to trust your medical experts. You got to trust them to the fullest. Your scientists, all of them. They ain't going to lie to y'all. They ain't going to tell y'all a lie. They ain't lying to y'all, telling y'all going to be able to go to Mars. They not lying about that. Y'all going to go to Mars one day. And in the next billion years, y'all will be able to get to Mars. But y'all going to go one day. Y'all humans going to go to Mars one day. It's okay. You're gonna be able to leave Earth. There isn't a dome over the Earth, and you cannot get the hell out. There is no such thing as the four corners that's also on Earth. that, you know, especially with those pictures that y'all be seeing from Mars, that shit isn't on the other side of the earth that we not supposed to go and visit. You know, there isn't other lands on earth that we don't know about. You know, just we don't know nothing about these things. If you go deeper down the rabbit hole, it's a lot of mind-boggling shit that you just was like, wow. But you can't wait till it come. Now, if you've been down the rabbit hole like I know, then you know that the land that we live on is very, very huge, is very big. The continents that they tell us about is way more than 7 continents out here in this world. You would know that you're not on a flying, you know, ball of water through space, a vacuum, just spinning and going and doing whatever the fuck it does, some gravity shit, whatever you want to call it. You would know that Earth is not what you was told. You would know that your whole reality was not what you was told. You would know that there's a big ass screen that's being put in front of your eyes for you not to see the obvious. You also wouldn't know that, you know, they're telling you guys that it's so cramped and humans is overpopulating the earth, but yet there's massive land that hasn't even been occupied. But human beings are suffocating each other. But when you look around and they do a new development, the houses seems to be getting closer and closer and closer together. Like, is y'all gonna allow people to have any type of yard, like a side yard, a front yard, and a backyard? Like these houses that they building, and these new projects that they doing, y'all new development and shit that they be building. I just be looking at these houses like, why the fuck is these shit so close together? Like you can literally reach your arm out and you're touching your neighbor. Like, bitch, I need room. Like, scoot your ass far down that way, bitch. But no, they're making these homes build closer and closer. Why do you think that? Because it's in the jail, in prison. Guess what? The cells is like they're built closer and closer. It reminds me of the cells, the prison cells too. To be honest, the way they build these houses and how close they have them shits together, it'd be like, well, you know, I understand the house may be nice. That's cool and all, but bitch, where's my backyard at? My front yard, my sidewall, other side, yard and shit. Like, I need room. I don't need to be cluttered up. I thought we already clutter up. So why the hell is y'all making us clutter up even more? You know, just have a lot of questions about life. Yeah, was it real too? Giving away money is code name for a tax write-off. Yeah, I'm too sleepy to debate with Bazaar. I still think you had on John Button though. When it comes to him saying, well, I have a quote, tough weather. Oh, you talking about when the dark winter comes? The boat is knocking at the door. I'm a Miss P. We're in the CIA, FBI kind of time. They ain't come mess with me. I'm a computer. I am not real, so they can't come mess with me. Hey, I'm one of those glitches. I'm that robot from our robot, the weird one. You know, the one that was in control like the rest of them when the big computer took over, and then there was that one that was just his own self. That's who I am. I'm that computer. I'm not them. I was just the more so of the first one built, and it was some glitches going on and stuff where I just gotta tell the truth. So I'm just telling y'all their secrets, that's all. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Let me stop. Let me stop. Let me stop. Okay, because I ain't telling nobody secrets. I'm just speaking in general. Okay, just that's all I'm doing. But I am gonna do more research on I find more videos that I could find for my whole another video that I'm gonna do, come live and do another conspiracy video that I want to do. I'm also do more research. I'm gonna see if I can find an MK Ultra device video, but I see that they have a lot of watery down ones, and they ain't trying to tell us the truth. With them, I'm not surprised because they claim they have to censor information because it's misinformation. To me, it's not misinformation, especially if people is doing the research. But when y'all go to censoring people and making people make y'all even feel like it's even they're gonna give themselves away because the way that they're censoring this shit and taking shit down like out of the shadows. That's why I should have been had did my review on that documentary before they snatched the motherfucker down, because I can't find Out of the Shadow anywhere. Like I can't find that documentary anywhere, but I can find Out of the Shadows being debunked. I could find those videos, just like I could find the conspiracy videos, but I only could hear about the cute conspiracies. And we all know, everyone should know, okay, except for the Quam conspirators. Them motherfuckers believe in that shit because that's a whole government CIA op, conspiracy findle, okay, just like Anonymous. It's some of y'all I mean, I feel like some people who ain't real conspiracies, they will fall trap or fall into that whole um quam conspiracy bullshit that the media is paying a lot of attention to, because you notice they don't pay attention to the real conspiracy. They mostly pay attention to the bullshit conspiracies, like that one that we heard with the lizard peoples and all that other bullshit. That's what they're playing. That's the ones they pay attention to. And when people talk about the lizard people, they're not talking about lizards, they're talking about demons. But they're calling them lizard people, but that's not what the fuck they talking about. The conspiracies that's talking about people demon hiding in human skin. Okay, just like sheep wolves hiding in sheep clothing, you do have some demons hiding in human skin. And for y'all that want more research on that, please go look at human sleeves. Okay, when you look up the human sleeve, you will know exactly what the fuck I'm talking about. Because how the fuck do you just have a human being body sitting there in a whole plastic thing like they're a fucking doll? And it's not a human being, it's the fucking clone. But they call it human sleeve, which is, code word for clone. I don't know why they just want to go out on that, and people so gullible to me. Oh my god, I can't wait for these new human sleeves and blah. I'm like, bitch, that's not a human sleeve. That's a fucking clone, bitch. You can't tell. Like, literally, look at it. Like, you ask them how the fuck they came up with this human sleeve, and it looks like a fucking human. Where they get the facials from? Okay, the features in the body and the distinctive shit from. Like, pay attention, bitch. I know excited because you ain't never seen nothing like this, but bitch, that is a clone. They just watering it down for y'all. And like, look, it's a human sleep. Okay? Just like they watering down people glorifying cannibal, wanting human beings to eat other human beings. Bitch, I don't want that shit. Okay, I'm telling you hoes right now if you listening. I don't want that shit. I don't know who told you that I agree or consented to eating another human being. Bitch, I don't want to eat another human being. I don't like human beings. So why the fuck do you think I want to eat any of these motherfuckers? And you motherfuckers is nasty and delusional and fucked up in here. And that's why y'all going to hell. Well, I don't know if y'all going to hell. But that's why y'all going to suffer. I don't know. Because only God could judge y'all. But I'm just saying, y'all can't come back from the shit y'all done. Especially when y'all learned about the adrenochrome. You definitely can't come back from that, because that's the most evilest evil of acts you could do on a human being, by torturing them and making them pump adrenaline through their blood of fear, and it's called fear blood. And when they get to drink and eat that blood, that's why it's called adrenochrome, because then they get this fantastic high. It's like the most potent drug on earth. They did experiments on that too, but I can't find those videos. But I'm gonna see if I can. I'm gonna see if I can post websites. There is a website though, y'all, that it's called humansarefree.com. Y'all can subscribe to that. They tell everything. Right now, they have sent me a notification saying victim families for coronavirus. Victim families, MPs, medical experts demand inquiry, sorry y'all, into deaths from wrongly classified as COVID-19. Bitch, did you hear that? I told y'all a lot of these deaths that these bitches was doing wasn't related to COVID-19. A bitch getting a car accident now they died from COVID-19. But I said the reason why they doing that is because they get paid a lot of money. Just like they pushing so hard for this vaccine. Y'all don't even know the money. Do y'all know what's going on behind the scenes? Bill Gates gonna make so much money, buku money. Johnson and Johnson, Frazier, and all these other motherfuckers is gonna get a whole lot of money, and none of y'all don't know this shit because you don't pay attention. You too busy running your ass to get injected with poison that you don't even know what's going on behind the scenes. Ain't even paying attention. So many people know what's going on, especially all these deaths and shit that's happening, and they classifying it as COVID-19. So a bitch get in a car accident, a bitch get their head blown off, a bitch fall from a building and end up dying, all dying from health complications, all this shit, and then y'all classify all of this as COVID-19 because bitch they getting paid each time, each patient that dies from COVID-19. It's like a transaction. Oh yeah, she died from COVID. Gonna rank her up, let them know. Send on in the paperwork to the government officials are the ones that behind the scenes that doing their blah 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? And send on out that check. How many patients at the hospital you has that have died from COVID-19? Well, Commissioner, I have about 20,000. I have 20,000 patients so far that have died from the coronavirus. Okay, well, let us go ahead on to calculate that up and do what we do, and we will be sending you guys over your check. Okay, thank you, Commissioner. I really appreciate the selling out the human beings for coronavirus hospital. Really appreciate you. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Okay, and boom, there you go. You see how easy it is for them to do this shit? Because nobody never questioned it. And nobody think that the machines that they used to diagnose us with is full of shit. It's full of shit. I can go to the hospital and tell them, look, I fell and broke my leg, and really in reality I didn't. They're like, oh look, you got a little a spring, it'll be all right. And I'm looking at them like, you do know that I don't have no spring, right? You do know that, right? I just came to see if your system is really truly works like y'all claim it to do. Because if I don't have any wrong with my pain, if I don't have any pain, anything wrong with my body, shouldn't your system be able to detect that, whether I'm telling you the truth or not? But it's amazing to me if I come here and I tell you this and your machine just goes along with it. Like there's just some type of fake ass shit that they made up in his own mind. Say, oh yeah, we see that she done sprung her knee and stuff like that. So yeah, go ahead on and calculate it up. And it's like, well, how's you calculating it up when, you know, I just fabricated this to see if your system is being used for what it's been designed to do. Isn't it its job to let y'all know if I have this issue or not? Like, nobody never questions shit. Never question it. Never questions nothing. Just goes along with it because these people say they smart. It's easier for a smart bitch to trick another smart bitch and have them look dumb. It's easier for you to convince a smart person than it is for you to convince a dumb motherfucker. And it's the reason why they say that as well. Because when smart people and other smart people get together, it's more so of a debate, and then they both come to the same conclusion in their smartness because they eventually agree upon it. But if a smart person is trying to convince a dumb person, then that smart person is going to realize they're wasting their time with that dumb person because that dumb person is not going to compute the shit that you're saying, and then go to asking questions that's dumb people not supposed to do. But since they're dumb, they're going to be like, well, what you mean by this? And what you talking about with this? So you telling me this what this does, but if it does that, then how is it able to do this when it's supposed to be doing this? And if I'm telling you this is what's going on with me, but this is not what's going on with me, and your machine that this is going on with me, how can it tell me that when I just sat here and told you that I do have this issue, but I'm lying about it? But your own device is telling me that I do have this issue, and I know for a fact I don't. So that's just like you going to, y'all going to get y'all tests for cancer and shit like that. The machine can tell you how cancer don't mean you do. I mean that also been the biggest cover up. That's the biggest cover up in history. Not in history, along with history, because the biggest cover up is how they did us African people. But the other biggest cover up is they medical devices. Yeah, fucking y'all up with the medical devices. I don't know what to tell you. But that whole cancer shit too. The medical devices is such a big ass scam, y'all. I'm sorry. I don't know if people ain't peep game caught on, but it is. It just tells you what you tell it. Cause it's a computer. It's read like a computer. So whatever you tell it, it tell it. But you're told that it's designed to detect any viruses, diseases, and all that shit, which is why you get an X-ray and all that shit done. But I mean, to me, the shit is flawed as hell. It has a lot of flaws. A lot of flaws. Just like people going to get their cancer, they don't have plenty of doctors that are lying and told people they had cancer and ain't even had no fucking cancer. But they end up giving them cancer now. So they can keep making them out of money. Yeah, that's one of the biggest ones that's done happen, child. But y'all, I'm finna go. I'll see y'all later. Y'all know what time it is, okay? But y'all better be doing y'all research, paying attention to your government, because eventually they're gonna come kill us all. Y'all know how the game goes, so not come kill us all. Y'all know what I mean. Come put all y'all in the FEMA camp so y'all can be test subjects instead of it being animals. And some human beings like to be test subjects because they think that they'll be able to send their mind through the internet. I don't even know why you want to do that when you done seen plenty of motherfucking movies and documentaries that tell you how fucked up it is for you to even want to have your mind being downloaded in the internet. The internet is already fucked up, and you want to put your mind in there for a motherfucker to frame you and shit and make you do something against your will. I mean, if you like to be controlled like a robot, I mean, if human beings, if y'all been wanting to be robots, y'all should just, the good Lord should have just made us robots instead of humans. But I think it's the reason why he choose humans and not robots for a reason, so we can have our own mind. I don't understand why y'all don't want your own mind by downloading it into a fucking computer. That's just the stupidest shit I ever heard. But hey, maybe I'm just an old school type person, and I just feel like it's just stupid. Why would you even want us to be connected to these devices like that? Now knowing that this shit is killing us eternally. Bye, y'all.